Hello, everybody. This is Empty Turtle. I'm here with Dr. David Jubb, and this is JubbTalk. And today we're talking strategies. Strategies to help us make better or good decisions. Especially for all you folks out there that like to make bad decisions. Dr. Jubb, how are you doing today, sir?
Oh, that's a pretty good topic, mate. How do you make decisions? Is it that, in fact, where someone is in a flow, when you're in a flow, flow mode, you're in a playful state. When you're in a playful state, you're really bringing some culmination of all your intrinsic strategy. Is available to you more, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
If you couldn't play because you felt like not able to perhaps connect or felt awkward, let's say, right? And so whenever it was that people came together to do something, someone was an observer.
That one was really low. I was distracted.
Well, where somebody, for instance, like they're learning, like let's just say a strategy for learning, because there's a strategy that's involved in everything. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah. Well, hopefully there's a strategy involved. Not everybody makes a decision using a strategy. They just make a decision on impulse or whatever.
In fact, actually, that's a strategy.
What?
Yeah, so for instance, like, could there be something without judgment?
Could there be something without judgment? I would like to think so, yes.
Well, when we're talking about it, you're talking about it something being excessive or not enough about something, but that's a judgment.
Huh?
So when is it that you are not in a judgment?
When you're asleep.
Okay. Well, that's a kind of a judgment.
You might still be judging something in your dream.
No, asleep. You're asleep to something. You're judging something.
I had a dream where I was a judge.
You're asleep to it. Yeah.
Sure.
So
most of the time,
could somebody do the understanding for someone else?
They try to.
No, you can't. Okay, they have to do that for themselves.
Wait a minute.
No.
Somebody cannot do the understanding for somebody else.
Of course not.
That's a fact.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Can you do the loving for someone else?
Loving? I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay, no, you can't.
Okay.
So, what happens when someone tries to give you love? How do you feel?
I feel great.
Okay, so you can feel really weak because somebody's trying to give it to you and it's not something they can give.
What? You have to take?
No, well, we just said that love is something inside, so that can't be something that can be given.
All right.
Yeah, so we have to correct the way we've perceived things as far as strategy is concerned, right?
Because you're not really giving anything.
Well, what about the strategy that you and I have? Some people really learn fast, are quick learners.
They can if they want.
No, I'm just talking about 10 people, and some amongst them are extremely fast learners and others are really slow.
Okay.
You might have seen that you were already in a dance step and just doing the dance, and other people were looking down at your feet to learn how to do it.
Not my feet anymore, but somebody's, yes.
If I could write with my hand, do you have a feeling that I could write with my feet?
I think so. I mean, I've seen movies where people paint with their feet.
Okay, so, well, the strategy of being able to not be limited per se, would you say that that's a strategy?
Yes, because going into a situation that you're aware that you're going into, you'd like to have some kind of strategy. And I believe that if you have a positive attitude, a positive strategy with a great attitude, that will always benefit you more than going in with a bad, crappy attitude.
Would it be because what you're describing is someone who's more flexible?
Yes.
So is flexibility something which you would say is important?
Oh, without a doubt.
What about adaptiveness?
Yes.
What about playfulness itself? Just
that's our first
being open.
That's our first emotion, isn't it?
And what about adventure?
Oh, yes.
Excitement, spontaneity.
Love it.
So these are all things which carry somebody through life. But what if the child wasn't present?
Well, then how would it know?
Well, it could be an adult, but it's not really, a parent, let's say, but not a child, or a parent or a child in a role, but not, in balance.
I'm sure, yes.
So, do you notice that some people really, you notice that they have a dry mouth?
Yes.
Yes? Histamine is a neurotransmitter. So if somebody had a habit of having a lot of new toxin that comes in because they're consuming toxin every day.
Okay.
So where somebody has toxin every day, typically they'll slowly not be able to think very well either, right?
Because the toxins do damage.
No, well, because histamine makes the membranes more permeable so that you can have neurotransmission.
Okay.
If your membranes are dry, can things flow and be fluid?
I guess not.
No. But if somebody's shoulders are relaxed, right, let's say they have an arch in their back, and so they've got their chest more open, is it possible for them to feel pride?
I think you'd feel more pride if you're walking like that.
So a strategy that's
as
involving
touching your shoulder.
so a strategy that's involving greater awareness of what's non-verbal, would that give you more clues?
Yes.
Yeah. So
it helps.
Where someone is, let's see, Asperger's syndrome. What's Asperger's syndrome? I mean,
I have no idea. I've heard of it. I know Elon Musk suffers from it. I did read what it was.
Yeah.
But I might have been...
well, the primary thing for Asperger's is that it's someone from their strategy who really is lacking empathic skills.
Someone with a strategy?
That's lacking...
lacking empathic skills.
Empathics. What's empathics?
Like feeling other people's
having transpersonal perception.
Transpersonal perception.
Yes.
Is that what is it?
So strategy.
TPP.
So strategy, where someone is really fit and they've got good leadership qualities, or they're admirable, right?
Oh, thank you.
They're obviously empathics. Yes. So for the Asperger's, it's a lack of empathics, right? It's sort of like, I'm not noticing that you feel a certain way. But where somebody is empathic, they're able to notice how someone's feeling, yes? So if you were born and you're only able to see 9 inches in front of your face perfectly, did nature design you to be able to pick up everything in a imprint state that would be important about visual, facial expression and emotion?
Yes.
And so if you were fed a bottle and you had a lot of you were histidaldic, meaning you had excessive histamine because you couldn't break down the casein, you couldn't break down all the dead protein that was cooked, and you were just given that, and you had congestion, right? And so now, you can't really see so well, generally, right?
Right.
Because, and so, but then a lot of things are missing a little bit, because if a child's is congested in the first years of life a little bit, but doesn't get that first imprint of a parent's face.
Is histamine good or bad?
Getting the imprint of being able to have pattern recognition from facial expression is the primary thing that goes on when you're little.
Yep.
Okay.
You look for a smile.
If you don't get that, would that be bothersome later on in life?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, it is, because it creates more Asperger's. When you look at the brain, areas of the brain are not so protected because the blood-brain barrier, which is your albumin level that sort of helps protect the brain, isn't protected. So, cooked dead milk, like from soy or whatever it was that they gave people, yes, instead of cow milk or whatever, but cooked out, really cooked up. So the truth was cooked, you got something cooked, and there was really next to no nutrient in it after that. Yes? So histamine makes a mouth drool. So some kids are drooling, aren't they? And they've got a lot of excessive histamine.
Okay.
Yes? And others are dry. Yes? So there's histidaldic and histopenic types of conditions, which shows you sort of how semi-permeable a membrane is and a balance of it, yeah? So if it's not balanced, it really is meaning neurotransmitters are not being produced properly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just trying to keep up at this point.
So we're just saying that we've got new toxin that affects histamine.
Okay.
And histamine is a neurotransmitter.
Okay.
And histamine allows you to actually have neurotransmission.
All right.
And what we just said was if things congested you because you ate dead food, not live food.
Eggs, maybe?
Well, you didn't have breast milk, okay. And you didn't have
breast milk.
Colostrum. You didn't get that.
Nope.
Okay. So, and you didn't get L. salivarius and L. plantarum in your intestine either.
I definitely
because that would have been the implanted organism that's in your intestine to help you make B vitamins.
Really?
So when you got new toxin in there, were you ever able to get rid of the toxin?
Man, that's a great question.
No. It always causes obesity later on in life and causes adipose tissues to form from no matter what you do. And it causes you not to be able to lose weight either. Right?
Right.
Because digestive condition is totally out of balance and what you're eating is off the charts. It's not even food. It's toxic. Would you say that the vast majority of people are eating toxic food?
Yes.
Okay. So life begets life and dead begets dead. Okay, so a strategy for having a longer life is that to do with having an inner quiet?
Okay, an inner quiet.
Yes, meaning that what we started out by saying is that if a child is receptive and not sort of taken up inside to have to deal with doing things, they can be picking up stuff. Yes? What happens to someone who really won't get in there? They just like sit back and they observe everyone. And that's how they learn.
Oh, I like that. That's the fun
this is the observer, that's a strategy because you can see what works, what doesn't, this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But also, it means often that you don't get in there yourself.
I like that the best, really.
Yes. So shouldn't the first be last and the last be first?
Oh, I think so.
Yes. So being stuck is not having flexibility, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have your feelings and you're able to have your feelings, would you say that if you weren't able to feel properly, would you not be able to think properly?
I think that could be intertwined.
Okay. What if you shut down lots of things that was auditorily said to you, and so now in your speech I listen and I can hear there is no auditory predicates. You're not using words that relate to the auditory system at all. You're just only go, get, have, do, feel, and in a stuck state. Obviously, because you're only using your feeling state. You're not using auditory nor visual at all. Zero.
And you know what?
So would a strategy engage the whole brain, or if only bits of the brain were being used where somebody is, they wouldn't have success, right?
Well, that explains a lot because they say we only use about 10% of our brain. And that explains almost everything.
If you went to school, right, and you hated what they did at school because it was so boring.
Yes. Yep.
Good. Okay. Yep. Imagine your home life sucked.
Sure.
Okay. So you're not going to do well at school.
That is correct.
Okay, because it's just a ridiculous thing that you got to parrot something, but in the time of it that you didn't have any good home balance, right? It was useless. It was like tits on a ball. Okay.
Tits on a ball?
On a bull.
On a bull.
Yeah. And so it was all mixed up and it wasn't right. Do you have a feeling that if you're raised and you feel people are basically good?
I would say most people are raised and feel that, yeah.
Okay, so it rents no space for fear in your heart, right? And whereas the other one is you're gonna have to rent a lot of space for fear, correct?
Sure.
So if you have fear, all right, let's just say that it was boring at school, and now you had to learn things at the end because it was so boring.
Okay.
And there was stress under learning. Yes. And so
Which creates cortisol.
Stress becomes state specific with memory retrieval. It becomes paired with it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you went to go to recall things, and it was because you learned things under stress, now stress is connected to your ability to have recall. Yeah?
Oh, that's terrible.
So could that be the reason why Americans have a lot of don't, won't, can't, should, try, but, must, only, never, always, only?
I would say that that would be a definite yes.
So if you're inclusive with the way you go about your thinking and considering things, do you have a feeling that that's more flexible?
Sure.
Okay. Would it be more flexible that you had ability to have feeling and come from feeling and then hear and then see?
So what? Go from feeling to who?
Hearing to seeing.
Hearing to seeing, yes.
If you weren't stuck in feeling, would you have a proper good strategy?
No.
Okay, so when you get up in the morning, that's get up, that's kinesthetic, and then you walk somewhere or you do something, that's kinesthetic, and then you look around, it's kind of, you look around, that's visual.
Yeah.
And then you say something, I think I'll wear this or I'll wear that, and you put something on. Okay, that was your strategy. What would happen if you didn't exit into auditory? Would you just be stuck feeling and looking?
Yeah.
Yes, you would. Do you ever notice that when somebody looks in a paper bag, they see nothing is there that's supposed to be there, but the hand continues to rummage in the bag? They can't believe it's not there?
I'm guilty of that. Many times over.
Have you ever not been able to pull yourself back because all of a sudden you see you're not going to make it in a jump?
Oh, absolutely.
You've committed yourself?
No. I'll pull myself
What happens
back.
What happens when somebody comes up onto the stage, right, to shake your hand, and their hand is not shaking your hand? What do?
You shake their hand.
Okay, so you go into a bit of a trance because they're not shaking your hand. What do you do? How do you cope with that?
You shake their hand.
They're not shaking your hand. How do you cope with it?
I don't know, say hello. How you doing?
Yes, you see, automatic things which we don't ordinarily have something for can create some awkwardness, right?
Yes.
And in that moment, if something was suggested, if it was done on purpose, would you just take the suggestion?
Probably.
Yes, you would. So is it that actually, when you're confused, that's a strategy?
Really?
I'm asking you. No, I'm asking you.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, it is. And so when somebody says, finally, I've had enough of something, is it because they just blew it out a lot in their mind and it just, they had overload?
Yes.
And so isn't that a strategy?
Yes.
Okay.
So everything's a strategy.
When you're flexible, well, there is no such thing as you not applying a strategy.
There's no such thing.
Right. When you fail, is that a strategy?
Yes.
And when you...
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Really?
Yes, it is.
When you fail...
Well, we just said that if you're only in your feeling and you're not hearing and seeing, you're going to fail. We just said if you're not looking at other people and noticing them, you're going to fail. We just said if you're not social, you're going to fail. We just said if you're not flexible, you're going to fail. You're failing. We're just talking about strategy. So all these things are strategy, and I know it's off topic. Why? Because they're all talking about all sorts of things like histamine, whether you've got histamine or not. We said, you're just eating dead food. You've never eaten any live food in your life. Though you need microgreen, you don't even have it. You don't have any B6, B12. You have no magnesium. No, wait a minute. You have no histamine. It's really low. Honest to God. You only have 20.2 nanograms per mil in your saliva. I know that. Why? Because you've got a dry mouth. So when somebody has a dry mouth, are they going to be able to think properly? No. They're going to be slow. They're going to procrastinate. They're going to prefer to sleep, do nothing.
So how do you avoid that? You just keep drinking water?
Good parenting, honest, is really important.
Really?
Yeah, of course it is, because you need to know how to self-initiate. You need to know how to partner and be good in partnering, right?
Yes.
And you have to know how to be good in a family and team build and things.
Yep.
Yes. What if you had no skill in any of these areas?
That life would be more difficult.
So the strategy
or lonely.
The strategy to be alone means what?
Strategy to be alone.
Yeah, don't knock on any door. Don't be flexible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Don't talk to nobody.
Just stay with dead food.
Yes.
Don't think that you can change anything, right?
Can you give me an example?
Stay with a dry mouth and don't even notice it. Yes?
Yes.
Sleep by breathing through your mouth versus your nose. And when you say breathe through your nose for the rest of your life, you don't, because you can't do what people ask you to do, or you can't even do what you say you would like to do yourself. Because why? Because 78% of yourself has to be behind something before you'll get it. You can have 22% against and it'll still pass. But if you don't have 78%, if you have 23% against, it will not get passed on.
That is pretty fascinating.
Yes. So you've got to have a large enough population of cells in your head to do things. If you get like conflicted, like, oh, part of me wants to do this, part of me doesn't. And the part of me that doesn't, sort of what's getting a reward? Oh, just to do nothing? Oh my God, how do you get rewarded from doing nothing? You see, it's avoiding. Someone is avoiding.
They get pleasure from avoiding.
Well, it's maybe too much avoiding, because you're using your vestibular sense to get away from stuff all the time, not go toward.
Oh man!
Right?
I'll tell you what, that vestibular sense is.
So if important. You only have 3 ways you can process information, that's it. It's math.
Okay.
And you could be congruent, meaning you could focus on what makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You could focus on what could be a condition to have something make sense. So there's 2 forms of agreement, right?
Okay.
You could get everything done with those 2 forms of agreement, couldn't you?
Out of 3?
Yes.
Yes.
2 processes. You could get everything done with those 2 processes, right?
Congruent and what else?
A processing, but with a condition, agreeing with a condition.
Agreeing with the condition.
Yeah.
Focus on what makes sense.
So, what's the other process that's left?
Construction.
No, yeah, well, these are all constructing. We're talking about how you construct things in your brain, what you're doing is strategy. But what's one more choice you have?
Audio, visual.
No, what's one more choice? First we said agreement, outright agreement with condition. Okay, there's 2 forms of agreement. We said you can get everything done this way, and now we just said there's one other choice. What's that? There's one other process. What's that? Polarization. Okay. So polarization is where you have a lot of don't, won't, can't, should, try, but, must, only, never, always. And that's your preferred modes of sorting information. You polarize to sort everyone's information. And that is your preferred mode. And it's so preferred, matter of fact, that it's not congruent to you to not be polarized. And people are congruent if they're polarized with you. And so you'd say, well, you don't want to do something, to ask somebody to do something because they're a polarizer, and now they're going to do it. Because you've just said you don't want to do something, you see? So you process information from polarization. If you left everything to the last moment at school, and memory retrieval now during the exam was state-specific with anxiety, right? Now you're going to have to just be always, when you go to remember something, you're going to be anxious, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you get anxious to remember things? Don't, won't, can't, should, try, but, must, only is going to come out like so fast, so quick. It's sort of automatic. Are you going to get things in life if you're a polarizer? No. You're going to get nothing. You're going to have no friends. You're not going to win any competition for nothing. That actually anybody likes you. You're just an unlikable person, period. So if you're social, is it because you're more inclusive, you're more allowing?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And when somebody's not allowing, they become very what?
Alone. Lonely.
Exactly. Who's the most alone people in the world?
Who are the most allowing people in the world? Our parents?
No, the Swedish. Okay.
Oh, really?
Why? Yeah. Do you know, have you studied all this?
No.
Well, we'll have a look and check it out. What's the reason why people only could live alone in Sweden?
I would say because they're very happy with themselves.
No, because they haven't had a father for 7 generations nor a mother for 6. You go into a creche when you're 3.
Go into a where?
A creche.
What's that?
It's just a place where you're going to go and they're going to get babysat by the government.
Wow. What kind of government?
If you work in a factory and all you did was just to rob everyone's life, like the robber baron that lived in Italy, that was a mongrel and slaved, and did that slaving kind of condition knock Europe around, until about the 11th century AD? Yes, it did. It sure did. It was just drastic. People were eating each other because there was no law and order, none. Now, there was law and order in places. Yes, there was. The Moor had huge law and order. Yes?
I guess.
Yeah, they did. It was a massive civilization, and honest to God, they achieved various things which we've not achieved as far as art and the kinds of things, math and everything today. It's extraordinary. We've had 2 golden ages, which the Kush Moor had, it was incredible civilization. People lived more free. Listen to Alexander's speech when he's departed he asked the soldiers all to depart. He's only 32, mate.
Wow.
But when you listen to him, you can hear he's speaking incredibly well, and his brain is functioning quite well.
Uh-huh.
How did he get that way? He had Aristotle as a teacher.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so if you have teaching and you've got modelling, do you think that there's maybe a shortage of modelling?
Without question.
Yes.
I mean, they're trying to model you through the school system, right?
No,
They're
that's
not?
just babysitting you.
Uh-huh.
Utter, fully, 100%. Not a single scrap of positivity whatsoever. It's absolutely the public fool system. Why don't you think about it this way?
Sure.
Or are you just going to be romantic because that's what you do?
No. I didn't. I mean, school was cool early on. But
Okay, so first we just said
man.
you didn't do well, because home life was bad. You didn't do well because the what you were studying was boring.
Yeah.
You left everything to the last moment to learn because competence was going to be tested in a stupid way.
Yes.
Right? And now you got a score. Where's your identity? Is it within yourself or is it on a piece of paper?
Within myself.
Yes, but do you have a feeling that people are looking at a piece of paper and see that their worth's on a piece of paper?
As I progressed in school, I didn't care.
Yes, but you must have cared because obviously you thought this really it sucks. It's not proper.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So competence, testing yourself for competence, was that to do more with what you needed to learn about, and so you'd know what this was?
Let me tell you something. All my life, I've been avoiding competence tests.
Yes, but you see, when you get the competence, it's to do with your learning what you need to learn more about or what you do know. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing.
Well,
it's a very good thing.
Maybe I wasn't the one making the decisions.
If you do things ahead, have you ever heard the early bird that gets the seed?
Yes.
Have you ever heard the early bird who gets the seed gives it to the second bird there?
Nope, never heard of that.
Yeah, that's a law.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever heard that all you need to do is make a demand and nature will fill it?
Really?
That's the law. There is no other law than that last one. All right? All the other things are just made up.
Demand.
All the other laws you've ever thought of are just really made up, honest, basically. All right?
Well, what about murder and all that other stuff?
Something is very ethical. Our last program, if you're listening to this, is a really good program because we just talked about somebody's heart maybe needing to learn how to feel again because they shut their heart down to do things, right? to chuck.
Oh, yes,
to
yes.
chop the head off the chicken. They had to organise their heart to do it.
Yeah, if you're working in a slaughterhouse.
Because your heart is not there to do that. Yes, it's not natural for you to do that. No, the pen is mightier than the sword, right?
Yes.
And when we get busy where we are, we can get things done. But when we don't take charge and we're just like a corporate body is down there, you're listening to news and it's disastrous. It's shocking. It's just really disgusting. It's got nothing to do with human relations whatsoever. It's got to do with business of bombs and stuff like that. It's ridiculous and wrong. And how did you just get to conversation about that? There is no conversation about anything else, is there? It's boring and it's monopolized utterly. Do you think that we can make good decisions if you don't have transparency?
Absolutely not. We need transparency.
Yeah. And so are you happy with someone just having a museum you don't?
No, not at all.
No, well, why not get rid of all these bloody stupid museums, the laws about these museums? Because who's culturing the museum?
I'm not.
Yeah, we the people are not, for sure, because when you go to look for giants and all sorts of stuff, where's all the relics of all of it gone?
Hidden or destroyed.
It's in a museum. So,
that's right.
So when you have a monopoly like we have, all over the earth, 192 nations monopolize.
192 corporations.
Yeah, okay. That's right, exactly. But you've got 192 nations with we the people. And where is it that you sat above the Legislative Assembly? Tell me now. When did you do it? When did you do it?
Never.
Why not? You're a lazy bugger. That's absolutely right.
That's exactly right.
When did you hear of this on the news?
Many times, never.
No. When did you hear it in the United Nations? They talk about banking.
Oh.
Why not? Why not?
Want you to.
Why not? Why not talk about banking in the United Nations? Because
they don't want you to know.
Redacted.
Hello.
It's redacted, right? So lots of topics are redacted, aren't they? Yes?
All the time.
Yeah, like actually, where did you come from in your past? Is that redacted?
Yes.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And then can you listen to people that's religious and you've got a religion yourself or something? Is there a lot of prejudice in the way that you look at things in around the world? Like you think other people are, you are, everybody is? Because something is not universal per se, but something is universal for sure. And that is that we're instinctively social. So when you go against that, that's going to be not right, is it?
Probably, yes. Well, with some people, it'll feel right.
But if you take a little bit of ascorbic acid and vitamin C, right, suddenly you have saliva in your mouth.
A lot of people know what vitamin C is. What is ascorbic acid?
Tyrosinase, vitamin P, vitamin K, and copper, and then you've got an ascorbate. That's a whole food vitamin mineral complex C. You can't just have ascorbate by itself. It's that's wrong. That's an isolate, and it's often put with a rock salt. So it's not it's called an analog. It's not a vitamin. It's called a vitamin because it's an analog, though. You see,
I can judge somebody's intelligence by asking what score.
Something could be an intelligent nutrient.
Score.
When you look at USP vitamin, you can see things there which is not natural, right? So folate is natural, yes, and folic acid isn't, right?
Okay.
And so you've got a lot of things there which are dead. So for instance, like where are you getting B17 from? B17 is heat unstable. How are you going to get B12 if you don't have B17? Have you ever heard about B17? No. Why?
Never heard of it.
Because you don't get any of it. None when you cook all your food.
And we need it?
Of course you need B17.
Well, what's a good way to get it?
But also, too, you need enzyme. When you cook food, have you got any enzyme? No, you're decrepit. So decrepitness starts at a very early age. Procrastination begins at a very early age. Some people are very athletic about what they're doing and they've got a great athletic performance. Otherwise, it's very, very mediocre. And most people are just filling their time doing perfunctory things, like you were saying. So the strategy for getting ahead today, would you not say it's the same as it always was? There's something actually competitive because something is better in it, but you're better in yourself. You've got great aptitude You've got good aptitude in partnering skills where other people don't. You've got good skills in self-initiating things in life so that you get things done where others are not doing that at all. And you've got a capacity to be able to build a team because you've got sort of ability to be able to anchor multiple anchors together more.
Chemistry.
You see?
Important.
So it's a strategy. Strategy sort of is involved more, isn't it? You know?
Yes.
The brain and cognition only can function. That histamine really is in balance. Yes?
So water it. And then, but
if you eat food stuff which gives you a balance in histamine, it's because you got some ascorbic acid. You actually ate some fruit. You actually had some acid. If you don't, you're going to have a dry mouth and you're not going to have proper neurotransmitters, right?
Give me an example where people can just go grab something to get the ascorbic acid. A plum?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, right.
A plum.
Anything tart.
Really?
Anything tart.
So something tart.
Anything that makes your mouth water.
A lemon?
Peppers.
Peppers? What about a lemon?
No, I'm asking you, does pepper make your mouth water?
I would say so.
Yeah. Does lemon make your mouth water?
Yes.
Okay. You have a shortage of fruit. You're not eating any fruit.
No.
You're a frugivore outright. You're not a carnivore. You've got not a bone in your body to eat any flesh.
What?
And so the surfactant, how many surfactants do they find in people's cells?
Well,
I mean, I'm talking about new toxin, we're talking about surfactant.
surfactant.
Yeah, so the surfactant that comes from flesh that you eat is called N-glyconeurominic acid. Do you find that in the DNA of cells? Yes, you do.
Glyconeurominic
Is it a
acid.
contaminant? Yes, it is. Do you have anything in your body to break that down? No, you don't.
How do we get that again?
Okay, you've eaten it wrongfully because it's got not a bone in your body that can break it down. It's a toxin. It'll cause cancer because it interferes with the DNA.
And we get that from eating something that is dead?
When you've never in your life ever had any aromatic herb in your food, zero. You don't eat that. So is your pancreas going to be messed up? Yes. You're going to have diabetes? Yes. Are you going to not be able to transport salt? Yes. You see?
Wow.
Right? You're going to have a chronic fatigue, cystic fibrosis condition, meaning what? Your blood's clumped. You don't have oxygenation of your body anymore.
Can we come up with a pill to solve all that? Viagra.
Yes, you could have various things like I just said, like for instance, like ascorbic acid, like a lemon bi-cup shot. And now you're going to have this, which we're talking about, but otherwise you're not going to.
Wow.
And does the average person know anything about nutrition?
No.
No, they don't. They really don't.
But they would if they teach all this shit. I mean, stuff, SH, number 1 T, stuff in school.
If you have a tiny bit of hydrogen peroxide because you drank a bit of urine, you did a little bit of bicarb, is that going to kind of suddenly cause you to have a lot of microcirculation?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So there are various things that you do or anybody can do which actually cause you to have more microcirculation. The product which I'm behind really very much is the 6th generation product. It's like it's going to be absorbed across your tongue.
Oh.
Like Life Hydrate will unstick your blood and various things that we have will cause you to have neurotransmitters. Like EZT will cause you to have mood elevation, suddenly be able to have more greater clarity.
That's another good strategy. Elevate your mood.
Well, shouldn't it be that you just look at and sense and feel your mood and where you, just before you plateau, just before you peak, that's your plateau and you stay there and you always stay there. That's your permanent state.
Ooh.
And that's your meditation. Wow. Nothing else. That is your meditation.
There.
It's an outward lived, onward going, sitting, walking meditation. And that is meditation.
So we can meditate when we're sitting or walking?
Look, the idea that I would say go and meditate, what does that mean?
That means go gather your thoughts.
No, it means you're not in a meditation. It also means that you're going to turn it on in some spot. How ridiculous, how stupid. Don't agree with me when I say go meditate somewhere. Don't. Why not be in a meditative state? And if somebody is talking about this, then they're always talking about it more being in the present. Your meditation is about being in the present. How can you be in the present if you have to fight your heart to close it down to chop the head off a chicken? How can you be in life if you're not in interest and pleasure? You can't get into your frontal cortex like we talked about. And that if you're just averse and only things was averse, you have a lot of don't, won't, can't, should, try, but, must, only. And stop that for 1 year. Learn how to frame things positively and then add them in so it's positive. So I'd say try not to have a lot of success with this over the next days. You see, that's an embedded command.
That, yeah.
That's an embedded command.
Yes.
Who as an
that's
adult?
A good strategy.
Well, no. Who as an adult around you is aware of their embedded commands? Most people that are not aware of their embedded commands whatsoever.
Mine are all natural.
Yeah. Okay. So politicians that seek agreement, they're intelligent, aren't they?
Yes.
And politicians have no ability to seek agreement.
Well, they make more
Stupid. No, I'm sorry, that's dumb. They don't make money for themselves and they don't make money for you. They waste money. In a monopoly, you reckon that's going to be more efficient? No, it's not. It's the worst kind of thing you could ever have in the world. It's better to actually be decentralized in your own thinking and being and rapidly move more towards decentralization as far as government is concerned. Why? Well, because we want to hear your voice. We don't want to hear the corporate bull dust anymore.
Hell no.
It's just wrong.
That's
and
right.
the news, God help us, is terrible. And now you're going to have a Googleized brain and everybody starts to see, wow, that's communism. That's communism.
And we're seeing a lot of that.
Well, it's behind everything COVID.
We're seeing a lot
it's
of
behind
people
everything that's
are
COVID.
Getting more educated and
yeah, but like you're not going to live in a world that's COVID because it's completely not transparent. You see, and that's what that means.
So so now we are onto their game. We're onto their game. What are they going to start doing to counter that we're onto their game? What kind of movements would our government do?
You reckon this is very weird, first of all, because you've got a white man or a man's polarized view, and you only can have a choice, and you always give someone a straw man argument. What you just said was, listen, I'm going to give you an alternative right now. The first one is bullshit, and the second one really is too, right? Okay. And they need the choice at all. It's got nothing to do with what really is. So when you can visit what's wrong and correct it, good, that's it, finished. Don't talk about anything else. Look at what needs to be corrected and correct it, and have a good mindset when you do it. Visit what needs to be corrected and be a visitor. And if you're a visitor in life, are you going to be more open?
Yes.
Yes. If you're not a visitor, what happens when you knock on the door? How do you feel when you knock on the door?
It's stressful.
It's very important that you feel good, because you always feel good when you open a door. When you knock on the door, you feel good. It's incredible, you see, because you're asking to greet someone. So your primary strategy in life, if it is in a visiting frame, do you have a feeling that you'll do better?
Yes.
Yes, you will. And when someone's not visiting something, like some politician, they know what to say, don't they look absolutely stupid and dumb?
All the time.
All right. And what about when they're talking about what's not? How do you feel about when people talk about what's not? Is that something? No, it's not. It's just stupid.
Yes.
Why not talk about what is versus what's not?
Versus
Start
what
with that.
Could be.
Why not be a politician and be a good statesperson, man or woman, and start getting proper language? What are you going to be in front of everybody, and you're only going to have a script that you have to read? How bad's that going to be? There's some actors, and they're very good. Why? Because they're good at themselves. They don't have to be taught that stuff. Mm-hmm. You see?
Yeah.
So if you have to be taught that stuff, is that good leadership?
It's excellent leadership.
It's excellent if you can be taught, and it's excellent if you don't have to be taught because you've already learned. Yes. But when you're not learning and you don't know, that's poor leadership, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Is it poor leadership when you and I are not involved in consensus building decision making? Mm-hmm. Right. So your select TED is actually the better way to do it, because you're selecting something from a bin versus elect TED. Why shouldn't something be verified and it's selected, period, outright? That's it. You.
Oh.
for your voice and for your
If they
idea.
don't want to verify, they want to hide.
Look, you keep saying they, and you are weak, aren't you?
Very.
Yes. And would anybody want to listen to you when you say they?
All the time.
No, because they're interested in I and you and what we can do ourselves. We don't want someone continuously putting themselves and all of us to something on the other side of the mountain, and you continuously will do it until you stop. You'll say Alphabet Soupland did this to you, didn't it? And you never saw Alphabet Soupland. You know, because that's a fiction. You don't know the difference between a living man versus an entity. An entity has got no centralized nervous system. It's not equal to a man, a woman.
So you're saying entities are real?
A man and a woman is equal to each other.
Yeah.
That's right. Not a corporation. That's fascism, mate. Okay? When you mix corporation and fictional stuff up in your head with the living, this is really terrible. And this is what's going on. It's called fascism. Fascism. When you do not know how to put a rock into a category of rocks and dead things, and you're trying to mix it up with rabbits, it's like, what happened to you?
Aren't they trying
You
to
got a
do
low
that to
IQ because you're actually not putting things into the proper bucket.
They are trying to do it to us.
You can hear someone and now they're putting things in the right bucket. And because they can, they have a high IQ. When they cannot put things in the right bucket, they have a very poor IQ. That's it. Okay? An intelligent quotient.
If you can put a rock in a bucket, you are intelligent. And if you can't, you're dumb. Is that it?
No, if you cannot put round with round and square with square, and you don't know that as an adult. If you try to say something positive, but you always put something negative next to it. If you actually really trying to get agreement, but every time you ever speak, it's a don't, won't, can't, should, try, but, must, only, and you're a polarizer. So bad. You don't have any friends. God help us. It's like, you know, why? Because you're a polarizer.
We should cancel polarizers.
No,
Yes.
you should focus on growing, being congruent. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we can do that.
No,
by
but
canceling.
our listeners can hear
Polarizers.
the difference between the two of us. I'm focused on what you can do, what you should do. I'm focused on what is. You're focused on what would be, could be, should be, would be, wouldn't, wasn't, not. It's like, oh my God, see, it's too mixed up. If you're teaching children and you say stay on this side of the road and play, is that going to be helpful, or will it be helpful to continue on with your adult life saying don't run across the road right now?
Well, I don't think that's very helpful, because then they'll think, well, maybe later I can run across it.
Okay, so why don't you become more aware of your embedded command? There's no such thing as negation at the primary level of experience. If I say, how do you see a cat not chasing a dog?
I can see it. I see it all the time.
Yeah, you see, it might be frozen, but there's no such thing as negation at the primary level of experience. If I say, don't see a pink elephant right now with blue polka dots running across green grass, it's stupid.
How could I not see it?
No, yeah, you're dumb. Stop your all negative bull dust, because you're only saying whatever you did, and that's an embedded command. Grow up and be an adult, and stop being a Peter Pan. Be a man, be a woman, really. Okay, that's our species. Not a human, which is that's a Catholic word.
Human.
Catholic word. A human. What is that? A colour of mind. You're not a colour of mind. How can you be a colour of mind? How can you be a subject? You're not a subject. You're the source.
That's right.
Okay, but when you only have been focused with reading material, which only caused you to be a subject, how's that going to leave you feeling?
Great.
Not so good, because you're only a subject, fictional, not living.
That's right.
And having awareness over perception. So if I always only ever thought like you in the past, would I get trouble a lot because any behaviour that someone mentioned, I'd be always running my identity into it?
Yes.
Yes. And so I could not accept a lot of things because I'm always doing that. That's a bad strategy. Is it a good strategy to have a neural efficiency quotient?
Absolutely.
In other words, it's just what the neurons are needed. When you learn something, is there a lot of neurons involved?
I think so.
Yes, and then slow but sure, you just got what's needed behind it, isn't it?
Yes.
So today we've been talking about strategy, haven't we?
Yes.
Yes, and today is a good example of a lot of subject matter like saliva we started with, right, and eating. Yes?
That's a good
And we were
strategy.
able to link it more like it's subject matter that relates. Yes?
Is there a possibility of overindulging on a strategy, like you said, eating? There is a lot of people that overindulge in that strategy and eat a lot.
Okay, if I have a lot of needy, I'm a needy bloke, right?
Yeah.
And I'm such a lech. Everything about me is like material. You know, I mean, grow up. Why don't you get a life and actually be more spiritual, actually, and have perfect detachment? Is perfect detachment the most godlike strategy?
Maybe.
Yes, it is. It's more godlike than what? What's another bestitude? Love. Okay, what's another one?
Love will make you crazy.
No, love is a bestitude. What's another bestitude?
Jealousy.
Humbleness. Okay. So,
which I hate showing. I'm very humble.
Being humble is very important, but you're being owned. Being loving, you're being owned. Perfect detachment is
not being
the way that you really. This is the most godlike. Yeah.
Okay.
So the mountain is standing unmoved, breathless by the wind, whereas the ocean is just raging virilely. All the sandcastle you built at the beach are all just washed away. All your thinking, all of your dreamy stuff, going to just die with you when you die.
Yes.
It's ridiculous and useless, really. And the 40,000 thoughts that he has and the 80,000 thoughts that she has, they're the same as they were yesterday, and it's extremely insane. Stop thinking. Grow up and actually be more empty. Right? Yes? And now we're receptive. But you see, no one has to grow up because this is something which is original. If you're playful, you remain more playful in your own playful self. This is original. You're going to be able to get a lot more by, being playful. If you're not too playful, you're not going to get too much. But if you raise albumin, which is your super transporter, transporting nutrient in your body, it's because you got rid of new toxin, you got rid of waste, you got rid of all the excessive cortisol. When someone has a lot of don't, won't, can't, should, try, but must only in their thinking, does that cause high blood pressure?
Yes.
Yes, it does. And when somebody goes, I've got learned helplessness, I'm done for, does that just cause somebody to have low blood pressure?
Probably.
Yeah, so in an office you could raise your blood pressure, lower it just by how you've been thinking over time. But the fluid is thinned and it stops fermenting. If it's thickened because you got excessive cortisol, if it's thickened because you never had anything aromatic with what you ate, you never thought about it. You never have a single thing that has enzyme in it, ever. You see, so how's your body surviving? It's not. It's slowly dying every time you ever do anything, you see. And now, we never ever drank water out of a plastic bottle, let's say, right? Because there's so much microplastic in it. And can you get the microplastic out? No, you can't. Look, water in a plastic bottle is not good. It's not good. Okay, so you can think it is. Yes. You'll go ahead and keep thinking that way. But you got massive amounts of microplastic. And I know that these prophets never talked about plastic to you because it wasn't there in their world. So did Jesus usher in a new day?
Was plastic?
Yes, Jesus ushered in a new day back then. Is it a new day today?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And
Who's
these
our
stories
Jesus?
are 2,000 years old, please.
Who's our Jesus?
I'm just said, the story's 2,000 years old. It's wrong. Sorry. I just told you you're not a subject. Sorry. I just said grow up and eat. Life begets life. And if you eat life food, you'll have life. But if we're dead, we only will beget dead. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And who is talking about things like this?
Nobody except you.
Yeah, so it's sort of JubbTalk, I guess.
But that's okay. Because that's what we are. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. We love the viewers, our listeners. And I hope you are coming back for the next round. Jubb, take it away. Oh, before you do, something for our audience to.
You live what you speak, and you speak what you live next.
Live what you speak, speak what you live. All right, everybody.